All right, so here we're going to talk about the clean channels bright setting. We're going to look at the reverb and the EQ. So I'm on the clean channel. This is a normal, I'm on a P90, so it's a little kind of fat to begin with. Hit the bright, and you can hear a little more hiss, but definitely a lot brighter. I'm gonna guess that it's got to be doing more than just adding treble. I bet it's cutting a little of the bass. So it's just changing the EQ up in a predefined way. Now I should go read the manual and make sure the EQ affects all the channels, but we'll be able to figure that out pretty quick. So, leaving it on the normal, I'm going to turn the bass all the way down, and you can hear the bass definitely, or the low EQ, definitely affecting the clean channel. So definitely affecting crunch, definitely affecting gain. So there you go. Your EQ is affecting everything. Now it would be nice if it was different for each channel. It's a limitation. So, but with your EQ, you always want to start with everything at the middle, and then we'll talk about presence. We kind of mentioned this when we hung out. Presence usually is similar to a bright thing. It usually adds some kind of bite to your signal. Let's see what we get here. I mean, you can feel it. It feels kind of like a little bit of an impact on the treble. It feels like a little bit of a bite. Change it a huge, but you can tell it's giving it a little more clarity. So it's just one of those things you might want to play around with. So that's the presence. Again, start with it in the middle, and if you don't need it, or if you don't see if it doesn't serve a purpose, don't waste your time with it. And then the EQ is like what we were talking about. This is the big thing. So when you're playing with your group, one of the two guitarists is going to want to have a bigger presence in the mids. Probably whoever does leads. But it could be the other way around, because the leads are going to be heavy on treble, maybe a little mid boost. You might boost more in the mids so you can be heard, or cut back on your mids so that you fill out the sound more. Generally, when you boost the mids and you're playing in the bedroom, it sounds boxy on a lot of cheaper amps, a lot of mid-range amps, a lot of amps in general. Most of my amps, because most of my stuff's cheap. It sounds boxy. But once you play with other people, that sound is not boxy anymore, because there's other instruments filling out the spectrum of frequencies. It just cuts through better. Might not sound the best by itself. It doesn't sound too bad, actually. But the key point here, is to use that EQ. On guitar, you don't want to go too crazy with the lows. You might do a little bump. You might do a little cut. Don't go too crazy because you have a bass player, and that guy is going to be filling up a lot of the low frequency. The bigger you go in the low, the more you're going to muddy up with the bass player. The mids and the highs are where you and the guitarist should do most of your kind of sharing of the frequency spectrum, splitting things up there. So I'm going to flatten this out again. Whenever I do experimenting with sounds on an amp, I always just get rid of the EQ. I kind of make it very neutral. And now we're going to see what this reverb is doing. Did not like my single coil P90. It wanted getting some noise there. Back on the humbucker. There we go. So now you can tell we've got no reverb. Okay. So let's kick on the reverb. Good. It's all the way at the bottom. It shouldn't be coming through at all anyway. There it is. And we'll mix it up. A lot of reverb there. So that's your spring reverb. You don't want to go too crazy with this when you get to the loud channels. You can hear how it just kind of washes out the sound a little bit. That echoiness can really create some muddy nonsense when you get into a band setting. So definitely be careful with this. And plus, when you're in a bar or live, there is natural reverb that happens to your sound because you are physically in a room, and that's what reverb is supposed to replicate, that sound of your signal getting out into the room. So always be judicious when you're using reverb, and you might use it, you might set it differently. You might put so one of the things guys will do is we'll put stickers on the dial where our settings, so we'll have a set of red stickers for like live, and then we'll have a set of green stickers, just little tiny spots. Some guys will put a whole row of like white stickers around their dials so they can write on them and make notes. But it's not uncommon to have kind of stickers on there somewhere to indicate, or some set of codes, just so you remember, here's my rehearsal room settings, here's my live settings. You might want more reverb when you're playing by yourself. You might want a lot less when you're in a bar. So that's it. And we're off again. Now you can hear that dry sound. Anyway, I think that's it. So, you're done playing. Always, always, always the first thing you're going to do. So you're done playing. Always the first thing you do when you're done is kick your amp into standby. Cut anything going to your speaker. You don't want to accidentally, you don't want to pull your plugs out. It's not going to, probably won't damage anything, but that's when you get really loud pops, loud squeals, loud screeches, loud ass noises. So always kick it into standby. Break down, take your bag, your guitar, stuff it in its bag. Oh, all right. Get your cord out. Leave it in standby while you're packing up. And then when you're all finally done, power down. And if you're done for the night, if you're leaving this in the rehearsal space, just make sure you put your stomp box, your stomps behind the amp. But if you're done for the night at a show or something, then immediately get that plug out of the back. I cannot tell you, this is the one like Achilles heel of this amp, man. You don't want to have to go buy a new plug or find somebody who can solder on a new connector for you. Although it can be done, it's not impossible. But yeah, definitely take that plug out of the back and spare yourself a headache. That is everything.